They tried to bury the Carolina Panthers before the season even started. Headlines were already calling Bryce Young a bust after 2 brutal games, 3 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, benched for a veteran, the #1 overall pick, sitting on the sidelines, watching his team fall apart. But that wasn't the end of the story. It was the beginning of something no one saw coming. Bryce didn't just get another shot, he came back with fire in his chest and clarity in his game. And once he returned, everything changed. This is where most rookie quarterbacks crumble. But instead, Bryce started stacking wins not just in the box score, but in confidence, decision-making, and leadership. Over the final stretch of the season, he threw 15 touchdowns with only 6 interceptions. And it wasn't empty stats. He played his best football against monsters like the Chiefs and the Eagles. That's elite pressure, and he didn't flinch. While the media wrote him off, Bryce turned chaos into growth. He used the benching as fuel, learned from Andy Dalton, and came back sharper, calmer, and more dangerous. But before you crown him just yet, there's something else you need to understand. Bryce Young's growth didn't happen because he magically fixed everything overnight. The Panthers quietly pulled off one of the biggest upgrades in football, and it happened right in front of everyone's eyes. The offensive line went from disaster to dominance. And it might be the real reason this team is about to flip the NFC on its head. Let's break down what's happening in the trenches. But before we get into that, hit that like and subscribe button for more Panthers and all the NFL content. Let's aim for 500 likes on this video. There's a reason Bryce Young looked like a different quarterback in the second half of last season, and it wasn't just maturity. The Carolina Panthers quietly built one of the most reliable offensive lines in the NFC. No hype, no media spotlight, just straight-up domination in the trenches. It started with a shift in attitude, then turned into a complete reset. The front office brought in veterans like Damian Lewis and Robert Hunt, and they instantly stabilized the interior. These weren't flashy signings. They were calculated moves to stop the bleeding, and they worked. Robert Hunt was a tone setter at right guard, bringing physicality and poise. Damian Lewis added experience and control next to him, helping seal protection from the inside. On the outside, Ike Ekwonu finally made the leap the team had been waiting for. He looked more confident, more aggressive, and more comfortable holding down Bryce's blind side. Taylor Moton, who has quietly been their most consistent lineman for years, held it down at right tackle once again. And when injuries struck, guys like Brady Christensen and Cade Mays stepped up without the unit falling apart. That kind of depth is rare and deadly in December. So now, Carolina has more than just a line. They have a foundation, a unit that allowed Bryce to stop looking over his shoulder and start trusting the pocket. But here's what's coming next. With this much stability up front, the Panthers finally have the green light to build around something even more dangerous, a run game that can punish teams for 4 quarters. And that's exactly what's brewing in their backfield right now. Let's talk about the engine behind Carolina's offensive firepower. Most fans have no idea what's actually fueling the Panthers' turnaround. But it's not just Bryce Young, it's the backfield. This team went from scattered and inconsistent to suddenly having one of the most underrated running back duos in the NFL. Chuba Hubbard didn't just prove he could be a contributor, he became a full-blown workhorse. Last season, he racked up 1,195 yards on 250 carries with 10 touchdowns, averaging 5 yards a pop. That wasn't a fluke. It was a signal that the Panthers are ready to control the clock and wear defenses out. Then came the smart addition Rico Dowdle. Coming off a 1,000-yard season with the Cowboys, Dowdle showed he could move the chains even behind a shaky offensive line in Dallas. He isn't coming in to take over. He's here to be the perfect complement, tough, efficient, and built for short yardage bruising. With Chuba leading and Rico spelling him, Carolina can finally rotate backs without losing momentum. Add in rookie Trevor Etienne, a third-down threat with speed and vision, and this becomes a 3-headed machine with explosive potential. It's no longer about survival on offense, it's about control. And here's where this backfield becomes dangerous. With a dominant line in front and balance behind Bryce, the Panthers can now open up play action, move the pocket, and keep defenses guessing. That's where Dave Canales wants to live, in rhythm, in tempo, and in control. And now, with weapons at every level, the next phase of the rebuild is starting to look scary. But before we dive into the pass game, you need to see what just happened to the Panthers' wide receiver room. It didn't just improve, it exploded. The Carolina Panthers didn't just upgrade their wide receivers, they completely redefined the group. What started as a weakness is now one of the most intriguing young cores in the NFC. And it begins with rookie wideout Teteroa McMillan, better known as T-Mac. Drafted 8th overall in 2025 out of Arizona, this 6'5" playmaker brings something Carolina hasn't had in years: a true number one, with size, range, and contested catchability. He posted 84 catches for 1,319 yards and 8 touchdowns in college, and he did it without elite quarterback play. Now, he steps into an NFL offense that finally fits his game. Alongside him, Xavier Legette enters his second year with something to prove. Last season, he flashed big-time potential but struggled with consistency and drops. That's where Dave Canales comes in. As a former wide receiver coach, Canales is building Legette's confidence and technique from the ground up. The result? A physically gifted receiver who's starting to find his rhythm. Then there's Jalen Coker, the undrafted surprise who forced his way into meaningful snaps last year. He may not have the draft status of Legette or McMillan, but his route running and chemistry with Bryce make him a valuable piece in this system. Now add in Hunter Renfrow, the veteran slot technician who's finally healthy and looking sharp. His ability to read coverages and get open in tight windows brings balance to this young group. And while Adam Thielen's role may shrink, his leadership still carries weight in that room. Sprinkle in speedster Jimmy Horn Jr. on special teams and gadget plays, and suddenly the Panthers have layers of weapons. It's no longer a question of if they can compete through the air, it's who will step up each week. But this rise in talent didn't happen by accident. It's all part of Dave Canales' master plan, and what he's building is much bigger than just the receiving core. Let's talk about the man behind the strategy. The Carolina Panthers didn't just hire a new coach, they reinvented themselves under Dave Canales, a proven offensive mind known for developing quarterbacks like Russell Wilson and Baker Mayfield. From the start, Canales committed to building an offense tailored to Bryce Young's strengths, using fast-paced, shotgun formations similar to what Bryce thrived in at Alabama. The results were immediate: better rhythm, spacing, and confidence. His experience as a wide receiver coach has also helped young talents like Xavier Legette and T-Mac develop into true threats. But more than just strategy, Canales is creating a culture of trust, growth, and long-term vision, the kind that could finally anchor Carolina's rebuild. Last year, the Panthers' defense completely imploded, surrendering over 2,000 rushing yards, ranking last in run defense, and near the bottom against the pass, a collapse driven by poor coaching, missed tackles, and failed execution. Even when the offense showed life, the defense couldn't protect leads, putting the coordinator squarely on the hot seat. This offseason, Carolina responded with urgency, reinforcing the front seven with a healthy Derek Brown, run-stuffer Bobby Brown, versatile pass rusher Tershawn Wharton, 7-sack producer Patrick Jones II, and rookies Nick Scorton and Princely Uman-Milan. The goal isn't just star power, but building a unit that can finally control the line of scrimmage. Yet, with Shaq Thompson sideline and Josie Jewell gone, linebacker depth remains a concern, leaving critical questions about who will step up in the middle. What the Panthers have now is rare: a young quarterback on the rise, a deep offensive line, a balanced backfield, and a wide receiver room with real matchup problems. The defense, though still growing, has added raw talent and veteran muscle in key areas. And most importantly, the team finally has a coach who understands how to build around his players. Dave Canales isn't just managing a roster. He's building a culture, a structure, a long-term identity. And that's exactly what wins divisions when the rest of the field is chasing quick fixes. So here's the question: is this the year Carolina flips the narrative? Can Bryce Young lead this team to a winning record or even sneak into the playoffs? If the progress we saw in the final stretch last season is real, the Panthers aren't just sleepers anymore. They're contenders in a wide-open NFC South. But what do you think? Is Bryce ready to take that leap? Can this young roster hold up when the pressure hits? Drop your take in the comments, and let's see where this team really stands when the dust settles.